This is my version of the college admissions decision application. Here I have tab control, and I've set 4 tabs or 4 tab pages to the tab control. To do this, I went to the tab pages property of the tab control, which is found in the container category, and there's a button. As you click in there, there's a button. Click on the button and a dialog box will open up, and then I've added 4 pages. Now each individual page then has properties that you set up in this dialog box, and one of the properties is the text property, and that's what I did for each of these tab pages. The very first tab page will input through text boxes and output through labels. You should be very used to this. Notice that I've put the decide and the clear buttons inside, well, except for that one, inside of a panel control for each tab page. Okay, so the way this behaves is you should be validating your input, and GPA should be between 0 and 4.0. I made my GPA a float because float is more efficient, and it's all I need. I'm not going up to some big digital number or decimal number, so float's fine. And then I made my test score a byte because I'm only going between 0 and 100 for the test score. And a byte will take you from 0 to 255. So my assumption is test scores will always be integers. If I just click on decide, you will notice that we have our error provider first blinking, and each error provider has a different error message. And then we have a little error message in the label. This usually is reserved for output, but now I have an error message. And a clear should clear everything, not only what's in the text box, but the errors. So I'm going to enter another invalid value for the GPA, maybe a valid value for the test score, and you will see I am still getting my error provider. Now there's only one error provider. You will be using the set error method to cause this to come on. The set error method requires 2 arguments. The first argument will be what control you are attaching the error to, and the one error provider can be attached to 9 controls if there were 9 different inputs that were invalid. The second argument to the set error method is then what you want the string, that's the error message, such as please enter a GPA between 0 and 4. So I'm going to clear that again. I will now enter a valid GPA and hit decide, and we get good data here. If I put in, I think it does not matter what your score is if you have a 4.0, if I recall. Oh no, you have to have 60 or 70 above, I believe, with a 4.0. So if I have 80 and a GPA of 2.5, I should be accepted or admitted, and I am. Okay, let's take a look at the second tab. Now the second tab will be getting input from the masked text box. The masked text box looks like a text box, except you set up a masked property. Now 0 is what you will use for digits. So I use the masked property of 0.00. This is going to do a lot of validation. First of all, if I try to enter mom, I'm entering M right there and nothing's happening. But because it's 0.00, you'll notice I am able to put 9.00. So I will have to do what's called a range check, because this is out of range. My range again is 0 to 4. Now the test score will always be valid. This control here is called a numeric up-down. Okay, and the numeric up-down can never go above 100, can never go below 0. And this is because the numeric up-down only allows integers and is set for a maximum of 100 and a minimum of 0. So you really don't need to do much validation for this control. And here's my decide, and I'm going to clear that. Now let's say that you write 3.5 there and you hit decide. Now that's okay. It could be that someone with a 3.5 did get a 0 on the test, which in case they will be rejected. But notice what happened down here. So this is called the status bar control. The status bar control is your status bar you will add. The status bar control has an items property, and I've created one items property, and I've set this text. Okay, in the code, in the source code, I've set the status bar property, set this text. When this is 0, test score is set to 0. This is unlikely. Re-enter the test score if this is correct, in which case they can now, oh, I forgot to set the test score, and then decide. And I think you have to have at least a 60 or something, yeah, to be admitted. Okay, so that is that tab page. This tab page will now have 2 radio buttons. Notice that nothing is selected. So if you click on decide when nothing is selected, we once again have our error provider. This is the same error provider that was available in each tab page. And there is our error. Okay, and by the way, when you hit clear, you should be clearing there, and the method for the error provider is .clear. That's simple with no arguments. So if you will choose, okay, your data and decide, and there we have it. If, I'm going to clear that, if you choose a score but leave this alone, we should be getting an error. So we are checking for the checked property. If the checked property for both of the radio buttons is set to false, I am turning on the error provider. I'm actually attaching the error provider to the first radio button, not to both of them. Okay, and last of all is our website. So just because it's in Appendix B, I've attached the web browser object. This is so simple. So I've got a page, tab page called our website. Here, I made the web browser object the entire width of the page, and you simply set the URL property. And of course, I've set it to www.bhc.edu. I think one other thing I want to say is the only tab page that I did set the status bar to was the numeric up down. Okay, so that's your next project. Lots of new controls to learn about. Hope you have fun.